Happy yelling at City Council Day. Whoop, my favorite time of the week. First day of school did not go so well for some people, and they only have one mom. That's me. So I got to go do the mom thing. But I want to make sure that you have access to City Council, and I will come back and yell with you when I'm able. I'm sorry I couldn't be downtown with everyone tonight, and I apologize for having to leave so quickly, but I'm doing this all for my kids, and I got to put them first. Sorry. So no further ado, I'm going to pull up City Council so that you can share in the fun. Go. Remember that this is part of our civic duty. This engagement matters. They do pay attention to the comments. They do pay attention to your emails, even if they don't respond. Fuck you, Kevin Flynn. Your voice means something. Please use it. This is what privilege is for. It's one of the many things privilege is for. It's to use your privilege to make change for those who have less. So I'm begging you, please. Here we go.
Zoning requirements and to obtain its occupancy permit. Community Planning and Development confirms that if the offsite parking is terminated, the project will lose its occupancy permit, this would result in up to 72 people becoming homeless, more than 6 employees losing their job, and leaving another abandoned building on Welton Corridor. I request that my January 10th, 2021 letter be included in the official record for case 201171. And I would also
basically
like to
what they're
request
saying
that while City Council reviews the group living amendment, that they also consider the impact of permanent supportive housing on our neighborhoods. These affordable housing projects are essentially the same programming as residential care facilities, but lack the oversight, spacing, density, and community outreach required by the group living amendment. Permanent supportive housing can concentrate poverty in already depressed socioeconomic areas, such as the Legacy Project located at 2175 California and the Charity House Apartments located at 3022 Welton Street. 5 Points is rich in affordable housing, and it is important that we share the wealth of our experience and socioeconomic benefits with these projects with other districts throughout the city of Denver. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Natalie Jansen.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay. I'm calling in to just make sure it's very clear as a tax-paying homeowner in the Golden Triangle that I very much endorse the tent sweeps. So I'm a follow-on to
Fuck you!
Speaking and making sure, because I'm one of the people that has been bothering her
about Fuck you!
Cleanups and getting help and support from the businesses within the Golden Triangle. And I was a bit concerned when I saw a note from Councilman Hines that basically said he hears regularly from his constituents that are asking him to not do any more sweeps. And I want to make sure our voice is being heard as well. You know, they're breaking the law by setting up tents, and I wish we didn't have to do sweeps, but if they're going to continue to set them up, we should be.
They have nowhere to go.
There should be some consequence for them breaking the law. And I want to make sure our voice is being heard. I've written the councilman's office several times, and I also am a regular caller into 311 or District 6 and working with the outreach program and trying to get them some help and trying to get them off the streets. And if they don't want to leave the streets, we can't make them, but we should be able to prevent them from camping on our streets. That's it.
Fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Thank you, Natalie. Next up, we have Summer Smith. And Summer, you might have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, having an iPad crisis there.
Go ahead.
Thank you, members of City Council, for allowing me to speak. These are my thoughts, my perspectives of living in the Golden Triangle.
Right.
A neighbor of Natalie's, and I live not too far from Sydney.
Right.
The encampments on our streets predate COVID. The encampments on my street are not composed of individuals trying to change their life. They're petty criminals, drug addicts, interesting, and camping and living by the rules.
How much time have you
I've lived
spent
in
talking
West
to them?
Wash Park for 17 years and knowingly moved into this transitional neighborhood, the Golden Triangle, about 4 years ago. In 2018, when our townhomes came online, we moved in. There was a crowd of about 30.
Townhomes. Oh, I'm
30
so
individuals
sorry.
gathered
Those
in the
homeless
corner of 10th and
addicts are
Broadway,
ruining your
across from the
townhome.
Circle K, their source of services.
Oh, did they
This
ruin
is
your
something
Circle
you are not
K?
seen allowed in Denver before.
Oh,
I
poor
spent
little
my professional
peanut.
career paying attention to my medical field, not really.
My
needing
medical
to reach
field,
out
is
to
that
the
like a
city to
force
enforce, keep them
field?
safe.
Can you
At first,
radiate
my
like a
neighbors,
medical
we called the
field?
police to enforce the no camping laws and 311 to get human excrement and trash cleaned up. These collections of individuals came and went, mostly stayed, being allowed to stay for longer periods, and over time being allowed tents, burners, and other devices. They were also given the choice to stand on our sidewalks, unregulated and unzoned by the inaction of city government. Homelessness is not a crime, but don't be fooled. These are collections of individuals who do not want services and who gather together for safety as they commit crimes in our neighborhoods.
I know. That's because we need
They are
more people
seeking to
coming out using their
survive by
privilege and
their
speaking.
rules,
Otherwise,
not
all
by
they
the
hear
rules of
is
society.
this.
Over and over, the police tell us these are individuals who refuse services that the
I
city
live in West
provides.
Wash Park.
According to one homeless outreach team member, Denver has the 5th best homeless services in the country, but, quote, we can't make a horse drink the water, end quotes. Edward Glazier, a Harvard professor, in his book Triumph of the City, speaks about the successes and failures of cities around the world.
You sound
I
white.
quote, smart entrepreneurial people are the ultimate source of the city's economic power. And as these people become more prosperous, they care more about the quality of life. City governments must not react to fiscal distress by cutting municipal services like policing. The easiest way to ensure that a city won't survive an economic crisis is to turn it into a dangerous
Oh, just
no-man's
fuck you.
land.
Fuck you. The horse you
Unsafe
rode in on
streets
and the
will repel
bullshit you're riding
skilled
out of here.
workers that are
Fuck
vital urban
you.
rebirth.
Ugh. I gotta go, Mom.
I ask that I feel safe again in my neighborhood and that city council does something to enforce this law and work with the mayor's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Walton Heidenfelder.
Yes, good evening, City Council. Thank you for doing such a great job in 2020. I know it was a difficult year for all of us, especially those of us who work in the schools and all the parents who had to deal with all the switches to in school, out of school, and so on. And I wish all the best to you in 2021. Thanks for doing a great job. Unfortunately, the new year is starting off on a bad note with introduction of potentially vicious dogs in our city. Pit bulls present a grave danger to people, especially to kids. This dog breed is involved in majority of attacks causing bodily injury and death. According to data available on this issue, in a 15-year period from 2005 to 2019, pit bulls were involved in 346 fatal dog attacks. About 25% of the victims were children. As a teacher, many times I'm responsible for kids' safety. I ask myself, what would I do in case of a pit bull attack on one of my kids? What would you do?
6 to 9 inches of snow. Yesterday, we saw it was
Some of the kids, let me see if I can switch my camera. I hope you can can see this. These are pictures of kids who who died because of a pit bull attack. Okay, and let me just read you the names. Scarlett Pereira, 1. Marley Willinger, 1-year-old. Jonah Jellison, 1-year-old. Robert Taylor, 9 years old. Libby Witherspoon,
Really?
2 years old.
Really?
So I really wish that you would take this information seriously, and I know you will, and I hope that you can figure out a solution for this problem that is now part of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Zoe Murek.
Hi, this is Marak. I'm
sorry.
here following up on the a question I asked at the Inc. meeting, that's Inner Neighborhood Corporation, on Saturday. Tim Sandos from Dottie gave a presentation, and I had asked him at that time what goes into the decision for ordering the traumatic displacements, or as many call them, sweeps. He was unable to answer the question and told that my question could be answered tonight by a Dottie representative. So I really want to know what goes into that decision and how much money taxpayers are spending on traumatic displacement. And as long as I still have the floor and I'm speaking for myself and not as an Inc. delegate, I want to respond quickly to Summer Smith, who spoke earlier, and say that traumatic displacement is not intended as a punishment for a crime. It's Doty's reason for ordering displacements is as a cleanup. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, that nobody's saying that this is meant to punish people. I think it does effectively punish people, but that would be a whole other conversation. And obviously, I'm not in favor of traumatic displacement. Everybody who voted in favor of the camping ban said there is a better solution, and I'd like to start seeing those solutions, because I haven't seen much of anything for solutions. And if people aren't using the resources we have, we need to have resources people want to use. But most importantly, I want to know from Doty why they're ordering these traumatic displacements, what's their justification, and how much money are we spending as a city on the traumatic displacements. Are we spending, and that includes what we spend on the Denver Police Department and what we spend, all these different departments. If we can get an itemized breakdown, that's what I want eventually. But tonight I want to hear from Doty how much Doty is spending on the sweeps. And with that, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Zoe. Up next, we have Erica Ryder.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak. My name is Erica Ryder. I am the owner of Hope Tank, a small business on South Broadway. I'm in District 7. I initially was going to be just talking about public restrooms, but hearing some of the previous conversation, I want to make crystal clear I am not a supporter of the traumatic displacement of our unhoused neighbors. But what I am experiencing as a business owner is the consistent shock and awe that we are still talking about public restrooms in our world-class city. Today, as I have many times over the 9 years in business, I arrived to my business with human feces outside. Someone had to find a safe corner to use a restroom. That is a disgrace. It is a human rights violation that we do not have opportunity for anyone to use the restroom. This is not just an issue around our most marginalized people, but of course it directly and disproportionately impacts them. So I am coming both as a former social worker. That perspective is that the way that our unhoused neighbors were just classified by folks who do not seem to know them or speak to their own personal experiences. These are not folks who are all in one bucket, but they all have in common that they deserve to have a place to go to the bathroom, a place to wash their hands, and water. The number one thing we're hearing from all of the resource officers and the STAR folks is that people are asking for water. Water. So I'm asking that we both consider that there is an incredible amount of money that has already been spent on this public restroom situation that no one seems to be able to explain where the dollars went. And the public restrooms we do have are almost always locked. So as a parent having to navigate the city, I can vouch that they are all locked all the time. And as a business owner, at least once to 10 times a day, we are asked, where is the public restroom? So I would say as a human and as a resident, as a business owner, this is ridiculous. And so I think it's one we can all come together on. And there are a lot of solutions around the restrooms, both for encampments, temporary and permanent. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jesse Paris.
Yes, good evening, members of council, those watching at home. My name is Jesse LaShawn Paris, and I'm representing for Denver Homeless Out Loud, Black Star Action Movement for Self-Defense, Positive Action Committee for Social Change, as well as the Unity Party of Colorado and Mile High News. And I will be the next mayor of Denver in 2023. I wanted to speak on the sweeps, the unhoused neighbor sweeps. As you are fully aware, my organization, Denver Homeless Out Loud, is currently suing the city and county of Denver for the unhoused neighbor sweeps. These have been ruled unconstitutional. And yet you have callers tonight justifying the displacement of our unhoused neighbors. This is white supremacy in full effect, just like what we seen at the Capitol a couple of days ago. They do not represent the masses of the people, and they're talking about they want to be heard. No, I represent the masses of the people that are suffering in this city, in the mile-high income city, where you have to have mile-high income to afford to live here. And to hear the richest neighborhood in Denver say such atrocious and just downright evil, despicable things is very shameful, and it needs to stop. Enough is enough of this. We are asking Denver City Council tonight to use their subpoena power to provide the cost of the sweeps. We want to know how much these unhoused neighbor sweeps are costing taxpayers in the city and county of Denver. We have the right to transparent government and to know where our tax dollars are going. My constituents would like those things to be done tonight. We encourage that these funds be used as solutions rather than more trauma. Until you have actually lived out on the streets for a month, a year, or longer, you have no idea what it's like to be swept like trash every single night under such an evil, inhumane law such as the urban camping ban. And it just speaks to the people that are in support of increasing the sweeps. These are sweeps. They have been deemed unconstitutional. They are not cleanups. They are sweeps. And just like gentrification is ethnic cleansing, it is genocide that the city and county of Denver continues to usher in year after year. Last year alone, we lost 234 people, and that's just what the coroner released. How much more blood is going to be on your hands, Denver City Council and the mayor? How much longer will you continue these violations of UN? How much longer will this continue? The people are speaking tonight, and we have said enough is enough of this. This is dramatic displacement. You have no idea, not even Mike Kaufman, who went homeless for a week, has any idea what it's like to be unhoused on the streets of Denver, Aurora, anywhere in the 7 county metro area. As your next mayor, I will repeal the urban camping ban. There should not be such laws still on the books in the 21st century.
You. That's your time right now. Up next, we have Tess Doherty. Tess, you might have to unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry. Hold on. We got an echo going. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that someone just compared people living on the streets to horses, and that's quite, it's unspeakable how offensive that is. We're talking about human beings and people with very real and immediate needs that we have the power to address in this community if we make the right decisions. Right now, we're deciding to enforce an urban camping ban and to enforce it through the traumatic displacement and forced disappearance of people. I am certain, because I've done a lot of research into what the UN deems a serious human rights offense, that this would qualify. So if we are going to really speak about equity in this city, and if we're going to act like we care about it, then we have to find other solutions. The solution is not, as the members of the Golden Triangle community group have proposed, it is not to continue the sweeps. It is to provide safe outdoor spaces, to provide housing, permanent housing for people, to provide connection to resources, which the sweeps literally sever those connections. That is how we overcome this housing crisis. And to provide people with bathrooms. If we want a crisis, if we want a pandemic to end, then why are we not providing hand washing stations? We went to them last week, multiple, and they're still empty. They do not have soap. They do not have water. They do not have paper towels. So if we're going to really speak about wanting solutions to this, the members of the Golden Triangle should be angry at the mayor and the city council for not doing anything. They should not be angry at the people who are living on the streets. They are not, their situation, they're finding themselves in the state of homelessness is not criminal. That should not be criminalized. What is criminal is knowing that there is something that can be done, if knowing that there's money that can be used and not doing anything with it, being irresponsible with it. That is the real crime here. They are not mentally ill. We are mentally without will. And we must do something. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Tess. Next up, we have Terry Burnshead.
Yes, Terry Burnshead, Denver District 6. Heading for 400,000 dead in a pandemic that some nations are beating. Citizens of color still have to insist that their very lives matter 500 years after Columbus started stealing the land and a century and a half after supposed emancipation. Millions out of work, hungry, thrown into poverty, facing eviction. Our already houseless neighbors, preyed upon by winter cold, lack of food and water, contempt and indifference and fear by the suddenly mobilized Golden Triangle speakers, and preyed upon as well by the police, by DOTI, by DDPHE, and by agencies of this city that profess to administer its government for all of us. And now the Congress of the United States, ransacked by fascists, in the sacred causes of SUVs, scooters, white privilege, and their billionaire hero. So, are we having fun yet? Now, lots of people won't see any connection between last Wednesday and our demands for Denver's houseless neighbors. Washington, D.C. is 1,600 plus miles away, right? But the mode of production that gave us the golf cart putsch last week, same one that built this convergence of city agencies that privileges property owners over our most vulnerable, same mode of production that increases misery daily and swells the ranks of the miserable, the same system that began with slavery, conquest, and genocide for profit, same system that allows restaurants to take up sidewalks and even streets, while those who do it because they have nowhere else to go are treated as so much refuse. And why? Because, as I've said before, they spoil the picture. And they've run out of sufficient usefulness to afford housing. They have nothing to sell but their labor, and the bosses aren't buying. Sounds like an exaggeration, doesn't it? From Sand Creek and Ludlow to outdoor dining and moving the homeless along, improbable at best, right? Because we spent all that history making privilege and property seem normal and hiding the consequences for those who don't make the cut. so the Aurora mayor can go LARPing as homeless Mike and blame it on drugs and call the whole thing a personal problem. When we demand housing alternatives, sanitation services, an end to traumatic displacement, we're confident that these options are not only more humane, but more cost-effective than what the city is doing now. Because what the city is doing now has no effect but oppression and pain. We could make that case more plainly if we knew the exact cost of the sweeps. But as we've been testifying, and as the Post reported this week, the precise costs are hidden. This body can remedy that. You can demand that accounting from the cops, from Doty, from DDPHE, and you can back it up with subpoena power. And you can approve the group living code expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. That concludes our general public comment session. In these times of social change, it's critical that members of the public have more opportunities to be heard by leaders at all levels of government. The next general public comment session will be held before the council meeting on Tuesday, January 19th. Sign up begins at 12 noon on Friday, January 15th. Thank you all for attending. City Council looks forward to hearing from you all again. Please stay on this meeting to attend the regular session of Denver City Council, which will begin momentarily after a quick break. Please stay with us.
Hope Tank is a wonderful business. Sorry, as I'm managing my kids downstairs, plus I needed a break from the bullshit. The Golden Triangle obviously organized some sort of a call-in to protest sweeps because they clearly know so much about it, other than, oh my God, there are poor people in front of my townhouse and the city council do something there. You know, quoting why we need police. I'm like, fuck you. They're a little more concerned with the freedom of white man than the safety of anybody. And I think we all saw that this week firsthand, didn't we? Oh no, I'm so mad. I'm playing Pokemon right now. That's how pissed I am. And I got to go calm down a couple kids that had their first day of school and it did not go well. And they were, Mom, can I be home with you? Turns out they got in a fight with other kids who were like, oh, your mom's that woman who's like likes black people. My oldest daughter's like, what you mean? Like she's that woman who likes black people. Are you saying your mom doesn't? And then my kid gets in trouble. No hitting, no punching. I was defined as liking something. She questioned it. Is that so weird? And my kid gets in trouble. So I'm going to be having some talks with people other than city council tonight. We're just getting started. But I do got to go, Mom, with both hands. So I'm going to leave this here and going. City council will be back, and I will too. What the fresh hell is that?
Welcome to the Denver City Council meeting of Monday, January 11th, 2021. Council members, please mute your mics and rise as you are able to join Councilmember Sawyer as she leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council members, please continue to mute your mics and join Councilmember Sawyer as she leads us in the Denver City Council land acknowledgement.
Oh my God.
The Denver City Council honors and acknowledges that the land
on which we reside is stolen from people, and we don't care, and we're not paying reparations, and we don't give a shit. We know that this is the right thing to do. We're good with being performative liberals, and we are good with being Democrats because Republicans right now are worse, so fuck them and you.
And those who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We also recognize that government, academic, and cultural institutions were founded upon and continue to enact exclusions and erasures of Indigenous peoples. May this acknowledgement demonstrate a commitment to working to dismantle ongoing legacies of oppression and inequities and recognize the current and future contributions of Indigenous communities in Denver.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Black? Here. Cedabaca? Here. Clark?
Here.
Flynn,
Here.
Herndon,
Here.
Hines,
Here.
Cashman,
Here.
Knech,
Here.
Ortega, here, Sandoval,
Here.
Torres, here, Sawyer,
Here.
excuse me, Madam President.
Here.
13 members present.
There are 13 members present. Council has a quorum. Approval of the minutes. Are there corrections to the minutes of January 4th? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved. Council announcements. Are there any council announcements?
I got an announcement, y'all douchebags. How's that for an announcement?
Councilwoman
Fuck
Sawyer?
you.
Thanks so much, Madam President. Two quick announcements. Just wanted to let the community know that we will be doing a town hall on community safety tomorrow for the Montclair community. It's at 6 p.m., so hopefully residents can join us. Also wanted to invite everyone to join us on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We will be doing a town hall with DDPHE Director Bob McDonald on the vaccine rollout in Denver. So hopefully people will be able to join us for that as well. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Sawyer. And not seeing any other hands raised, I wanted to make sure and at least say, over our past week, last Monday looks very different for our country than this Monday on January 11th. And it's really shown how important our democracy is, even with all of the issues and challenges that we face and that we need to improve upon. Our democracy will enable us to recover from the sedition we witnessed on Wednesday and prosecute those involved, including the removal of our president, if we can get that done, and any elected official that participated or encouraged the coup attempt of the United States government. Our country has a vast divide, and we must protect the people's voice and urgently address the racial disparities that we see so clearly. The heroic acts of the U.S. Capitol Police, volunteers, bystanders, folks who just stepped in to help individuals, and our very own Representative Jason Crow, who Councilwoman Torres, Councilman Herndon, and I are honored to have gone through Leadership Denver in 2011 with Representative Jason Crow, and we know his love and value of the United States, and his heroic actions shows the strength of our country and our resolve to make sure that we get accountability and make sure that this never happens in our country again. With no other announcements, there are no presentations, there are no communications, we have no proclamations. Madam Secretary, would you please read the bills for introduction for us?
Yes, from Finance and Governance, 2015-65, a bill for an ordinance amending the classification and pay plan for employees in the career service and for certain employees not in the career service. 2015-66, a bill for an ordinance amending the classification and pay plan for employees in the career service and for certain employees not in the career service. And from Land Use, Transportation, and Infrastructure, 20-0888, a bill for an ordinance relating to the Denver zoning code, updating household regulations, consolidating residential care uses, and establishing a new congregate living use category.
Thank you. Council members, this is your last opportunity to call out an item. Councilmember Sawyer, will you make the motions for us this evening?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you. I'll do a recap. Under resolutions, Councilmember Seda-Baca has called out Resolution 20-1451 and 20-1559 for questions. Under bills for introduction, no items have been called out. Under bills for final consideration, Councilmember Seda-Baca has called out 20-1534 for a vote. Under pending, Councilmember Herndon has called out Council Bill 20-1424 for a vote. The first item up is Council Resolution 20-1451. Councilmember Seda Baca, please go ahead with your questions on Council Bill 20-1451.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to confirm where the drawdown for this contract dollars are coming from. Is anybody available to speak to what fund we're drawing down from?
We've got Jenna Espinosa on the phone, I believe.
Good evening, Councilwoman and members of council. These dollars, this contract, I should say, is included in our program dollars, but want to just reiterate that no additional funds are being requested with this amendment. It's only.
Awesome. Just checking. I know last year we had the situation for the legal services around rail, and just wanted to make sure these were not coming out of general fund and coming out of program dollars. So thank you very much for that. And that is it for my questions on this one.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Our next item up is Council Resolution 20-1559. And Councilwoman Seda Baca, you had a question on this one?
Yes, just a quick question about what this program is and how folks can access it. We've had multiple calls in our office for young people trying to access community-based mental health. And this is the first time I've seen it. So just wondering if anybody has information on how to find this. I didn't find it with a simple Google search.
Great, thank you. And just for folks following along with us at home, this is the execution of a proposed grant agreement between the City and County of Denver and the Caring for Denver Foundation, Reaching Our Communities and Kids ROCK program. And we have Patrick Hendricks on the call tonight on the Zoom meeting to answer any questions.
Yeah, good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity. So the ROCK project is a Caring for Denver grant that we partner with Denver Public Schools to expand services for kids, both in the schools, but also it's targeting kids in our diversion program. So young people that have, picked up a citation for something, usually minor. It's an opportunity to try to engage them in services at a different level and not as we're going to report. It's not unfortunately available just citywide at this point, but Councilwoman, I can get you the actual schools that we are partnering with. And then certainly follow up with you as far as making referrals to the program. We would love to partner on that to make sure that we get as many kids options as much as we possibly can.
That would be awesome. And will you all make any exceptions if there are youth who are not in a partner school?
Yeah, the beauty right now, I guess, if you want, that's probably not the right word, but because we're in a virtual format, we can actually expand that right now. We're using telehealth, and we can actually include a lot more schools that way than what we normally would. This grant will fund a couple of prevention specialists and trauma specialists within target schools. But at least for the first year, because of the virtual format, we can kind of open it broadly, so we can absolutely include some other folks in there as well, too.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll be reaching out. That's it for my questions.
Thanks very much.
Right. Thank you, Patrick, for answering those questions. And the next item up is Council Bill 20-1534.
Sorry, I have a question.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Councilwoman Ortega. I saw your hand raised up, and then I was thinking about what Patrick said. So Patrick, we still got you on the line. Thank you for jumping in there.
No problem. I could just jump in with a comment and a question. So if you could share that information with us on the schools, that would be very helpful. And it would also be helpful to know how those schools were selected. So if you could get that information to all of us, I think that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Very good. Sorry about that, Councilwoman Ortega. All right, now we're on to the next item up, and it is Council Bill 20-1534. Councilmember Sawyer, will you please put Council Bill 1534 on the floor for final passage?
I move that Council Bill 20-1534 be placed upon final consideration and do pass.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Comments by members of council. Councilmember Seda Baca.
Thank you, Madam President. I just called this one out for a vote. It's not one that I've supported since the beginning and wanted to go on record with a vote.
All right, thank you. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Cedarbaca?
No.
Clark?
Aye.
Flynn? Herndon?
Aye.
Hines?
Aye.
Cashman?
Aye.
Kinich? Aye. Ortega?
Aye.
Sandoval?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Torres? Aye. Black?
Aye.
Madam President?
Aye. Madam Secretary, close the voting and announce the results.
1 nay, 11 ayes.
1 nay, 11 ayes. Council Bill 20-1534 has passed, and I wanted to make a quick announcement. Councilman Flynn is sorry that he missed that vote. He was having computer issues and had to reboot his computer, and so he will join us momentarily as soon as he has that done. And so unfortunately, he missed the vote on Council Bill 20-1424. But moving forward, the vote on 20-1534. The next item up we have now is Council Bill 20-1424. Councilmember Sawyer will need a motion to take this out of order, please.
I move that Council Bill 20-1424 be taken out of order.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Black?
Aye.
Cedarbaca?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Herndon?
Aye.
Hines?
Aye.
Cashman?
Aye.
Kinich?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Sandoval?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Torres?
Aye.
Madam President?
Aye. Madam Secretary, close the voting and announce the results.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Council Bill 20-1424 has been taken out of order. Councilmember Sawyer, will you please put Council Bill 20-1424 on the floor for final passage?
I move that Council Bill 20-1424 be placed upon final consideration and do pass.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Councilmember Herndon, your motion to postpone.
Yes, Madam President, I move that final consideration of Council Bill 20-1424 be postponed to Tuesday, February 16th, 2021.
Thank you. Comments by members of council. Councilmember Herndon.
Thank you, Madam President. The notification of the rezoning that to take place on this property was not properly noticed in time, which is requiring the pushback of the public hearing. So that's why I'm requesting it to be pushed back to February. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Herndon. And seeing no other comments by members of council, Madam Secretary, roll call on the postponement.
Herndon?
Aye.
Hines?
Aye.
Cashman?
Aye. Aye.
Kinich?
Aye.
Ortega?
Aye.
Sandoval?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Torres?
Aye.
Black?
Aye.
Cedarbaca? Aye. Clark?
Aye.
I'm not sure if Councilman Flynn is back. It doesn't look like it. And Madam President?
Aye. Madam Secretary, close the voting and announce the results.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Final consideration for Council Bill 20-1424 has been postponed to Tuesday, February 16th. That concludes the items to be called out. All bills for introduction are ordered published. Council members, remember, this is consent or a block vote, and you will need to vote aye. Otherwise, this is your last chance to call out an item for a separate vote. Councilmember Sawyer, will you please put the resolutions for adoption and the bills on final consideration for final passage on the floor?
I move that resolutions be adopted and bills on final consideration be placed upon final consideration and do pass in a block for the following items. These are all Series 21, 0022, 1544, 1569, 1568, 1571, 1572, 1573, 1579, 1451, 1310, 1526, 1532, 1533, 1559, 1524, 1535, 1554, 1462, 1478, and 1469.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded.
A quick point of order, Madam President.
Yes, Councilwoman
Did
Ortega.
I hear you say 21 or 20?
She did, Madam President.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, they're all bills from 2020, not 2021.
According to Madam Secretary, in the email I received earlier today, because they are being moved in 2021, they are all 2021. Is that correct, Madam Secretary? That's the email that you sent to me earlier today.
Even though the bills say 2020.
That's correct. That's the email I received today. But Madam Secretary, could you
can have her weigh in.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. This is Markesia here, Council Secretary, and that is correct. The series actually go by the years that the items are passed, not the prefix. So while the prefix is 20, the series is 21.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So do you need me to re-say them or are we good?
We're good.
Awesome.
I
Okay.
believe, Madam Secretary, we've got it taken care of here. And thank you, Councilwoman Ortega, for your question and point of order. All right, Madam Secretary, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. As we were doing that, we have 12 ayes, and the resolutions have been adopted and the bills have been placed upon final consideration. Or wait, I'm sorry. The script had moved on me. Sorry, I was trying to get the script. When you're on SharePoint, sometimes it moves and I was punching there. And so very good. Now we're back. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Black.
Aye.
Cedabaca.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
Hines.
Aye.
Cashman.
Aye.
Kinich.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Sandoval.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Torres.
Aye.
Madam President.
Aye.
I see Flynn is here.
Oh, you do see Flynn. Go ahead.
Councilmember Flynn.
Thank you. I was watching on my phone while I rebooted after having some computer bums. Is this the block vote?
Yes.
Okay. I am voting aye, but I do want to observe that the bills should be 2020, not 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, close the vote, or go ahead and get me in here.
Madam President.
Aye. Madam Secretary, close the voting and announce the results.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. The resolutions have been adopted and the bills have been placed upon final consideration and do pass. Tonight, there will be a required public hearing on Council Bill 20-1456, designating 1272 Columbine Street as a structure for preservation. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter must go online to sign up during the recess of council. If there are no objections from members of council, we will take a 10-minute recess. Council members, please remember to turn off your cameras and mute your microphones, and we will return at, 6:01 p.m. We have one public hearing tonight. Speakers should begin their remarks by telling council their names and cities of residence, and if they feel comfortable doing so, their home addresses. When called upon, please wait until our meeting host promotes you to speaker. When you are promoted, your screen will flash and say, "Reconnecting to meeting." Please do not leave the meeting. You will be reconnected and will need to turn on your camera if you have one and your microphone. If you have signed up to answer questions only, state your name and note you are available for questions of council. Speakers will have 3 minutes. There's no yielding of time. You will see your time flash on the screen when you have 30 seconds left. Speakers must stay on the topic of the hearing and must direct their comments to the council members. Please refrain from profane or obscene speech. Direct your comments to council as a whole, and please refrain from individual or personal attacks. Councilmember Sawyer, will you please put Council Bill 20-1456 on the floor for passage?
I move that Council Bill 20-1456 be placed upon final consideration and do pass.
It has been moved, and thank you for the second. Councilman Hines. The required public hearing for Council Bill 20-1456 is open. May we please have the staff report?
Yes, let me share my screen. We are here for the designation of 1272 Columbine Street. I want to make sure that everyone can see the screen. Okay. So 1272 Columbine Street is in Council District 10. It's in the Congress Park neighborhood. And as you can see here, it's near the corner of 13th and Columbine Street. The designation is owner supported, and I believe that Jovan is on the line. And as is Historic Denver, who helped assist with the designation application. In order for a property to be designated, according to the landmark ordinance, the structure needs to maintain its historic integrity. It needs to be 30 years of age or older. It needs to meet at least 3 out of 10 criteria, and the Landmark Preservation Commission needs to consider the structure's historic context. This particular property is significant for 3 criteria, B, C, and D, and we'll go through each of these 3. The first, it is associated with recognized persons or groups of persons who had influence on society. It is associated with the Stahl family who resided at the property from 1889 through the 1940s. And it's most associated with businessman John Stahl. He moved out to Colorado from New York in 1879 into the Colorado mining area of Tin Cup and Buena Vista. And Tin Cup was a much larger community, but it is now during the mining boom. And he provided mining supplies to both larger retail as well as wholesale sales. And so he became a well-known member of the community. Providing the mining supplies was a more reliable way of making money than actually doing the mining. Him and his family were very influential within the area, very wealthy members of the community. They eventually decided to move back to Colorado, where John Stahl took up and started a typewriting business. In the 1880s, when he started the business of selling typewriters, it was a fairly new invention and was something that was new technology to be sold. He became one of the most well-known typewriter salesmen in the area. His business was very well-known and one of the best in the city of Denver. He supplied it both for newspapers as well as stenographers, as well as any other businesses that needed that needed typewriters. And as one of the primary modes of communication, it was an important invention and sale during the 1880s and 1890s. It's noted in the application that he was very well covered by the press. There were over 2,000 clippings of him within the Colorado newspapers, and it was thought that perhaps because he was providing the newspapermen with their main means of communication, that perhaps they gave him a little more press than was necessary. In addition to his important roles in businesses in Denver, he was also a booster for the city. Whenever people were coming to visit, he oftentimes would provide tours for people for the development of Denver, and he was involved in politics primarily with the Democratic Party. Throughout the years, as I noted, with a lot of almost an excess number of coverage by his family, they were very well known in social circles and in Denver papers. If they wanted to advertise an event that was happening, one of the children or his family was noted as attending as a way to say that this was an important event that someone should attend. All four of his children, as are seen on the screen, were noted in the press and were noted as important members of the community. And so the property that has had a long-term association both with John Stahl and then with his children and family were important members of society. The second criteria that the property is significant under is for its Queen Anne style. This can be seen in its form and massing as well as its detailing. First, in the form, you can see it in the steeply pitched roofs. You can see it in the cross gables as well as the nested gables that are here up front. You can see it with the multiple wall planes and the asymmetry of the building, which are important components of the Queen Anne style. And then secondly, you can see it in the details of the brick and stone and woodwork of the ornately decorated gable ends up here, as well as on the sides, as well as on the porch. And then finally, you can see it a little bit in the Richardsonian Romanesque arched window that was added to the Queen Anne style. And so this property displays the characteristics of the Queen Anne architectural style. And the third criteria for which it's designated, or for which it's the designation application was written, is that it was it's a significant work of a recognized architect, specifically William Lang. He arrived in Colorado in 1885 and quickly gained success. He was one of the most prolific and well-known architects of the 1880s and 1890s. Pre-1893, he was most known for high-style buildings such as this building here. And then after 1893 and after the silver crash, he was more known for slightly more subdued Queen Anne styles. One of the historic districts that's most recently known for him is the 200 block of South Lincoln, which you guys might have seen a couple of years ago, that were a little more of the middle class buildings that he designed after the 1893 crash. This is a good example of his work. It's one of the early examples of his work in the Congress Park area. And so it's one of the few remaining there that has really good integrity. The Discover Denver survey has gone through Congress Park. And so they have surveyed all of the buildings in the Congress Park area and have highlighted this as one of William Lang's best examples in the neighborhood. And so this is a significant example of his work, as well as one that's known within the Congress Park neighborhood as being a good example and an early example of William Lang's work. In addition to meeting 3 out of the 10 criteria, a property also needs to retain its integrity. This doesn't refer to its structural integrity, but rather to its historic integrity. There are 7 aspects of integrity, which are noted at the bottom of the slide. This property retains all of those. And for historic integrity, it basically means, would a prior resident recognize the building, or does it still look like what it used to look like? And in this particular example, it retains excellent integrity. Although the house has been divided into multi-unit housing, it still has the appearance of the original residential structure, and it retains good integrity. And then finally, the last thing that is looked at is its historic context, which is something that is reviewed by the Landmark Preservation Commission. They reviewed it and found that the Stahl House, its historic context, its period of significance, which is the time period during which our property is significant, reflects the criteria for which it's designated. It was one of the first houses built in the subdivision near Congress Park. It was commissioned by an influential member of society, and he went to what was one of the most well-known architects in Denver, in William Lang. And then the architect designed in what was one of the most popular styles of the time, of the Queen Anne style, before the silver crash of 1893. So the historic context in which the building was designed and built and constructed matches the criteria for which it's designated. And then the property is significant from 1889 to 1943, which is the time period in which the Stahl family resided in the property. In terms of public comment that CPD received, we were forwarded public comment from the Congress Park neighbors, RNO. They distributed information about the designation application to the community. The community completed an online survey that showed strong support for designation, and so the RNO is supportive of the designation. And in summary, for this particular property, it is over 30 years of age. It meets 3 out of the 10 criteria. The property retains integrity, and the LPC considered its historic context. Landmark Preservation Commission unanimously recommended approval and forwarded it to you for your review, and CPD staff recommends approval for the designation application. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you for the great staff report, Kara. Council has not received any written comments on 20-1456. And tonight we have 5 individuals signed up to speak. And our first speaker is Jovan Fitzgerald.
Hello.
Hello. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and provide us your address or your city of residence, please?
My name is Jovan Fitzgerald, and my husband's right behind me here. We live at 955 Pearl Street, which is in the Quality Hill Historic District. And we are very pleased you are considering our property at 1272 Columbine for designation as a Denver landmark, and it will be known as the Stahl House. John Stahl, as Kara told you, was a pioneering businessman with the foresight and daring to leave his family house and businesses in Lockport, New York, and join many fortune seekers flocking to the young state of Colorado in the 1870s. He and partners, also from Lockport, established hardware stores in the mining district from Tin Cup to Buena Vista. Within just a few years, they saw more opportunity in the capital city and moved to Denver, each pursuing his own business interests. For Stahl, it was to introduce a relatively new device. His typewriter business, possibly Denver's first, opened in 1885 at 16th and Champa. It quickly transformed communications in the city. The business gave Stahl the contacts to gain prominence and influence in all aspects of civic life up to his death at age 90 at the Columbine Street House. The Stahl House was built in 1889, among the earliest in what is now the Congress Park neighborhood. He chose lots just 3 blocks from East High School, where all 4 of his children would graduate. He chose William Lang, the most popular architect at the time, to design the home. The Stahl family lived, married, and died in the home from its construction to the 1940s. When we purchased the property in 1982, we were amazed to find such a classic example of Queen Anne architecture still standing among nearby apartment buildings. Having survived for 93 years, obviously loved by 2 previous owners, the home deserved a future life. We decided that 2 dwelling units would protect the architectural features and retain the historic character. Also, it seemed a better fit for the block, which was so altered by mixed use in the 1960s and 70s. We've always believed the Stahl House worthy of landmark status, but when the citywide Discover Denver survey identified it also as one of the few Queen Anne structures and one of the most intact of Lang's designs, we were encouraged to apply for individual designation. Thanks to the help of Historic Denver and the support of the Landmark Commission and staff, we are seeking your approval. We hope it might inspire other owners wanting to preserve the history and character of the Congress Park neighborhood.
Thank you for your public comment. And all right, perfect. Next up, our second speaker is Annie Levinsky.
Hi,
Good evening. Thanks so much for hearing this designation application tonight. I am Annie Levinsky. I'm the Executive Director of Historic Denver. We're located at 1420 Ogden Street. And as you know, we're a membership-based nonprofit organization dedicated to education and advocacy to help promote and protect our historic places and spaces. And I'm really pleased to be here tonight to support the designation of 1272 Columbine. While the home's history was well known to its owners, and as you can tell, Jovan is very passionate about it, it was not well known more broadly until the Discover Denver survey was working in the neighborhood over the last couple of years, and we were able to reconnect with the Fitzgeralds. And the research team noticed the home because of its prominent and unique design features and it being a very intact example of an early Denver style, the Queen Anne style. But further research did uncover the architect, William Lang, who is the architect of our own organization's Molly Brown House, as well as the house known as the Castle Marne, another well-known property in District 10, and then uncovered the story of the Stahl house, or the Stahl family, which is a really fascinating story of two generations of Denver leaders who were very heavily involved and lived in the home for more than 50 years. And I think it's a testament to this house that it's had only 3 owners, the Stahl family, the subsequent owner, and then the Fitzgeralds. And they've all obviously poured a lot of sweat and energy into maintaining it in such fine condition. And so I want to commend the Fitzgeralds for taking this action and for their patience, because it is something that they have long wanted to achieve. And we were really happy to be able to help bring it across the finish line. Jovan did a lot of the research herself about the house over the years. And then our team, including interns and staff, intern Scott Kreutzer, Shannon Stage on our staff, and Leslie Krupa helped to complete the application. And the Fitzgeralds have been incredibly thoughtful in their efforts to maintain and restore the house. Their choice early on to convert it from a one-time single-family home, later it had borders, and then into the 2 units that are there today, demonstrates the flexibility of older homes to accommodate the changing needs of our city over time. And because of this designation, the house will continue to survive and thrive there and provide for community needs long into the future. So thank you for your consideration, and I can be available for questions about the application if needed.
All right, thank you very much, Annie. Next up, we have Jesse Paris. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yes, good evening, members of council. My name is Jesse LaShawn Paris. I'm representing for Denver Homicide Out Loud, Black Star Action Movement for Self-Defense, Positive Action Committee for Social Change, as well as the Unity Party of Colorado and Mile High News. And I will be the next mayor of Denver in 2023. This current preservation tonight of 1275 Columbine Street, it meets all the criteria for a destination of this kind. However, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the historical significance of this area with the redlining that occurred in Denver in the 1800s and the 1900s, and still in certain pockets continues to this day. This area, this family that you have brought all this praise and galore upon, they were racist white supremacists. They didn't do anything to help so-called people of color in the city. They built their fortunes off the backs of them, and they probably came here from the riches they acquired from the slave trade. As well, they are beneficiaries of the slave trade. So, with that being said, we have to acknowledge this history. This was not that long ago. And in 2021, we are still dealing with the same issues. So I am in favor of this rezoning despite that horrible history, because it meets all the criteria, and there's nothing I can tell you tonight that is going to change your votes on this. So thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is David Hagan.
Hi, my name is David Hagan.
I live in District 9. So we thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for allowing me to speak. In the spirit of what you said earlier about preserving the voices, since I was unable to speak earlier, I have something to speak on as a general comment because I signed up at 12:30 on Friday and was not given my 3 minutes. I wanted to talk about the fact that it was an atrocious act last Wednesday that happened at the Capitol. And it's not only Donald Trump that's responsible, it's every single Republican.
Excuse me, Mr. Hagan.
With that being said,
weren't able
every single member of City Council that
because
doesn't
we
stop
didn't have enough time, and so you're gonna have to speak on this land preservation, this landmark preservation tonight. I'm sorry you weren't able to be heard during public comment tonight, but if you want to use your time to speak on this landmark preservation, you may do so.
Am I even on anymore? Hello? Am I still on?
You're still on.
Okay,
Would
well,
you
I'd
like to finish your public comment on the landmark preservation we're talking about tonight?
I'm sorry, what?
You can use your time tonight to talk about the landmark preservation of this home.
I will not be talking about that. So you can either cut me off or listen to what I say.
We're going to go ahead and move to the next speaker. We've got Tess Doherty up. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to our last speaker, and that's Tess Doherty. And we would just ask that folks stay on the topic of the landmark preservation that we're talking about tonight. All right, and we'll see if we can get Miss Doherty into the meeting here. Okay, all right. Unfortunately, we had them leave. Tess left the meeting. And so that concludes our speakers tonight. Questions from members of council? All right, seeing no questions. Oh, there we go. Wanted to take a second. Councilwoman Kniech.
Thanks, Madam President. Just one real quick one. I heard a passing reference to being inside of a historic district, and I just wanted to ask the staff if you could clarify what the significance of being a designated individually is inside of a district, and whether and whether there's any difference in terms of what happens in the future. Just any clarification on that would be helpful.
So this property itself is not inside of a district, but I believe that Jovan Fitzgerald, the house they currently live in, is in a historic district. So I think that's the reference you were talking about.
I misunderstood that. Okay, thank you very much for clarifying. No further questions, Madam President. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Kniech. All right, going one last time for any other questions from members of council. Seeing none. The public hearing for Council Bill 20-1456 is closed. Comments by members of council. Councilman Hines.
Thank you, Madam President. This historic designation is in District 10, in Denver's Perfect 10, in the Congress Park neighborhood, and I'm really excited about this designation. I want to recognize that we're a growing city. We should make sure that we prepare ourselves for tomorrow, but we should also observe and celebrate Denver's rich history. I don't know if you know, but I grew up in the oldest town in East Texas, and there was actually evidence of human remains or human activity as far back as 10,000 years. So as far as American history, that's a long time. And so growing up in a town, the oldest town in Texas, where there were a lot of recognition of history, as well as obviously business people conducting business today, it helped give me a respect for balancing both. And with 1272 Columbine, I am really excited to support this historic designation. I want to thank CPD staff for all their research and a great presentation. I want to thank Congress Park Neighbors, the registered neighborhood organization that took up the community engagement I want to thank the neighbors of Congress Park who responded to the survey and recognized the beauty, quality, and significance of 1272 Columbine. I want to thank Historic Denver, but most importantly, I want to thank the Fitzgerald family. I want to thank you for your interest in the owner-initiated historic designation. My first brush with historic designation after I took office was with Tom Steiner, and that was not an owner-initiated. In fact, it was owner-opposed. So this is a far kinder, gentler designation, and I want to thank the Fitzgerald family for their willingness to engage me, Historic Denver, and other stakeholders as they went through the appropriate process to give this designation its best chance for success. So to the Fitzgerald family, thank you very much. To my colleagues, I will support this, and I hope you do as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Hines. And I appreciate your comments, and I will also be supporting this tonight. It meets the criteria, and I really appreciate Ms. Fitzgerald sharing the history of the house and their work on preserving this structure for generations to come. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Hines.
Aye.
Cashman. Kinich.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Sandoval.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Torres.
Aye.
Black.
Aye.
Cedarbaca.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Flynn.
Aye.
Herndon.
Aye.
I see Cashman.
Aye.
Madam President.
Aye. Madam Secretary, please close the voting and announce the results.
13 ayes.
13 ayes. Council Bill 20-1456 has passed. The pre-adjournment announcement: on Monday, February 8th, Council will hold a required public hearing on 20-0888 relating to the Denver Zoning Code, updating household regulations, consolidating residential care uses, and establishing a new congregate living use category, which is also known as the Group Living Text Amendment. There being no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned.
Whoop. Sorry, y'all. I was watching downstairs while holding 4 kids on my lap. So, yay! Have a good night.